Hi, my name is Karolina Sieler, and I am the founder of a platform called firstclasslb.com, which helps law students just like you to write first class law essays and exams. Today, I want to talk to you about something very important and a question that I get asked very, very often. And it seems to be a basic question, but it can get so complicated. The question is how to answer law essay questions. The question is just how to answer law essay questions. And it's usually something that I hear from first year law students who are just really confused about, oh gosh, how do I just approach this thing? I've been given this question, I've been given this essay topic, and how do I really approach it? Now, as you can imagine, it's not something I can cover in a short video like this, but I'm going to give you some basic guidelines to kind of start working with so that you can learn how to answer law essay questions. The first thing you need to do is just recognize the type of a question asked. And now, if you're in your first year of law school, this will be very hard. If you're in further years, you might have already some idea about how do you recognize the type of a question. So the two basic types of a law essay question are the essay style question or the problem style question. The essay style question is just literally a sentence that you're asked to comment about, or a question that you are asked to answer, or a quotation that you are asked to comment on. And you just need to learn how to evaluate the law in order to be able to do that. The problem style question is usually a scenario that describes different circumstances. Sometimes it's something that happened to one person, sometimes it's something that happened to several people. And obviously these two, well, maybe it's not obvious to you yet, but these two types are very, very different, and they require very, very different structures of essays and answers. So with the problem style scenario, the key thing is you need to understand how many legal issues there are. So how many things there are that actually require a legal response that the law can apply to. So in every scenario, there will be some pieces of information that are not really relevant. Let's say in criminal law, somebody shot somebody by accident and they were wearing a red coat. The fact that they were wearing a red coat has nothing to do with the law. It honestly doesn't matter. But the fact that they shot another person and how they did it and what they were thinking when they did it, why they did it, these are all things that will be relevant to the legal issue that you need to work with, which is whether the person will be convicted of murder. With the essay style question, the key, most important thing is you need to understand what type of an essay style question you're dealing with. Is it a general question? Is it a specific question? Or is it a quotation question? And based on that, there are different ways of approaching your essay. I have talked about general, specific, and quotation essay questions in my course, which is called First Class Law Essay Writing. And I have also mentioned some basic information about it in other articles on my website. But if you want to learn more about how to write and how to answer specific law essay questions that are of different essay styles, you can just check out my course, and I go into really a lot of detail about how do you approach every single type of a question. The next thing is you just pick the relevant cases and statute sections, and I know this seems very simple and straightforward, but this is where most students get stuck. The problem is you often come across an essay question and you just think, oh gosh, how do I structure the answer? What are the most important things to write about this specific question, and what should I focus on and what should I not focus on? And the problem that comes with that as well is, oh gosh, how many cases do I put in? How many statute sections do I put in? Which cases, which statute sections? And very often the mistake that I see is students either don't put enough cases and statute sections, or they put the cases and statute sections that are not really relevant, or they just put too many of them because they just try to kind of pepper their essay with cases and statute sections in the hope of this making their grade higher. But actually, what is really needed to write a good answer to a low essay question is just giving the exact right amount of statute sections and cases for every single part of your essay, for every single thing that you're going to be discussing. And this is something that's very hard for you to decide on your own, but I have I talk about this a lot more in a lot more detail in my course that I have mentioned before, but I have also more recently created templates for both essay style questions and problem style questions that help you to decide, okay, if this is my question, how many cases, how many statute sections exactly do I need to put in the answer, and how should I divide them into different sections so that I get a first, so that I increase my chances of getting a first. So feel free to check out my templates on the website. Now, another thing is, which is very important in how to answer a low essay question, is work with a template. Honestly, I can't emphasize it enough. Especially when you're just starting law school, there is literally no way for you to know how to write a first class law essay. There's no way for you to know what should be the right structure, what should, how many headings you should include in the essay, how you should structure each section of your essay, how to write an introduction, how to write a conclusion, what each section should contain. There's just no way for you to know this. And you shouldn't be required to know this either. This is knowledge that you should literally just be given by the universities. But unfortunately, lecturers are quite busy people, and they don't really have time to spend, like I did, years of just thinking, okay, how do I get my students to write first class law essays? And how do I guide them to be able to do that? So the templates that I have created, they basically contain a formula that applies to all essays, no matter the length. There's literally, I have a template for every single length of an essay, depending on whether it's an essay style question or a problem style question. And these are templates that I have spent years of practicing, first as a lecturer at university and then as a tutor for students. And all of this experience helped me to discover, okay, what is the one formula? How do I explain to my students how to get a first every single time? How to structure an essay in a way that you can get a first, or increase your chances significantly of getting a first every single time. And what I've come up with is this Word document that has several drop-down things, menus and lists, and several spaces where you just insert the right information or select the right information, and it literally prepares the whole essay structure for you. All you have to do is simply follow it. So that's probably my biggest and most important advice, is just work with a template to avoid the confusion, to avoid just thinking, oh gosh, how do I approach this essay, and spending countless hours on trying to figure out a structure that might not even be right for the question that you are trying to answer. The final thing is, you need to use the right format and style. Now, what do I mean by this? There is something called the legal academic writing style, and it's somehow mentioned here and there in a few textbooks that teach students how to write law essays, but nobody really tells you about it specifically. Nobody really sits down and boils it down to kind of what are the key aspects of this legal academic writing style. How can a student who is in their first year learn how to use it? What phrases they should be using in what parts of their essay to make their essay sound a lot more like legal academic writing, which is very, very different from any essays that you have written in high school or any essays that you have written in another degree, if you have done a degree before. And this is another thing that I cover in my first class law essay writing course if you're interested in that. And it just literally explains to you step by step, okay, what are the phrases that I use in the introduction, in the conclusion, in the main body of my essay? What language do I use? How do I make this whole essay writing easier for myself so that I know exactly what words to use? Right, so these are my best key kind of general pieces of advice on how to answer low essay questions. You obviously, as I've said before, I can't really cover all the knowledge I have in this short video, but make sure you check out my website firstclasslp.com for more information. Especially my courses and my templates are very, very useful for learning how to answer low essay questions.